My name is Nick, and we are joined by Sven Englund, who arrived here a very long time ago. So Sven, just take it away. Tell us about what brought you, where do you come from, what brought you to Clinton, and why? What was the reason?
Well, I came here from Sweden in start of the year, and you worked a little bit around logging camps on the coast, and then you find yourself without a job, so the immigration was supposed to look after the immigrants, and so I went to them and I said, I need a job, so they sent me out here. That's the basic.
And so what did you do when you first arrived?
I worked on the ranch as a shore boy, looking after the cows and the pigs and everything else in between.
So tell us some memories you have from working on the Pollard ranch.
Yeah, it was a dude ranch. It was a new crop of dudes every week. So it was a constant change of scenery. And when I came to Canada, I had no English at all. I knew what yes and no meant, but that was about it. So it was a little rough start, but I made it. And like I said, I had to be around people that was talking and answering, so you get to know what the words meant when they were asking things. That's about most of it.
And so who are some of the notable people you remember working with on the Pollard ranch?
Oh, there was several, of course. They sold out in '67, and you lose track of people pretty well. Most of the ones that was there at the time is no longer here. And I worked for the second and the third generation.
Second generation Pollard?
Yeah. He started in there in 1862 on the old Cariboo Trail. It went right between the house. Well, when I came, the original house had burned, but the one that there was built in 1908, and you could not replace the siding on that house today. I don't know if you could even find it, because it came from the coast, and it was straight grain, no knot siding. It was railed to Ashcroft and brought from Ashcroft to the ranch with teams. I don't think you could find that quality of lumber today anywhere.
Interesting. And do you have any memories of, what was hard about working on the Pollard ranch?
Well, nothing was really hard about things, but I grew up with cows, chickens. I knew a little bit about that part. It wasn't not really anything hard in that way of it. Anyway.
And what did you think of Clinton when you first arrived, the town and the people here?
I wasn't in here that much. I came here, they picked me up on the bus and took me out to the ranch, and I stayed around there for quite a while before I started coming into town. And then I used to come into town after supper because I needed to be with people, because I need to hear people talking and hear answers to try to figure out what they were talking about and what answer they got. And and then, like I said, you learn English the hard way.
So how long did it take you to learn English while living here?
Who can say, how long it takes to learn a language? I still don't know all of it.
How old were you when you came here?
I was 20.
20. And you came here by yourself?
Yeah.
So what drew you to Western Canada, Clinton in particular? Just the work was here? And
the thing was, you go to the end of the road, so to say, and if you don't like it, you can always go back. You might see something you passed that you like better than where you are. So, when I'm going, I might as well go to the end and work my way back. I only made it that back this far.
And you've mentioned to me that you've been in the Clinton Hotel. You used to have coffee there.
I
Tell
had
us a little bit
coffee
about
there a
your
few times, yeah.
experience with that.
And but there again, you come in to have a coffee and listen to people talk to see what, try to figure out what they're talking about.
Who have you met in Clinton working outside, aside from working at the Pollard Ranch? Who did you meet here in Clinton? Some of the old timers.
Yeah, who were the old timers when you first got here?
Well, Raymond Robertson, Robertson was still here, was still alive. He died at 104.
From the Robertson store.
Yeah, he was one of the Robertson brothers.
What was he like?
And you know who a person are, who a person is, but you don't really personally tied in with them. You know, you meet somebody on the street. I know you. I know you. That happened to you too. You walk down the street in Kamloops. Oh, hi to somebody you met somewhere. Well,
And after you worked on the Pollard Ranch, what other kind of work did you do living in Clinton?
Well, I worked for BC Parks for a few years when they developed. I run the crew when we developed Big Bar Lake campsite. I haven't really worked for the forestry, but in a way I did. I've been out on a lot of fires. I was fire warden for several years. First call out to check out the fire. I did that till I got too old for them. When you get to be 65, you're too old for everything.
That was a while ago.
That was a while ago, huh?
You can just wait to be 65.
Yeah.
And so, how about, did you ever get married while you were in Clinton?
Yeah, I got married in 66.
And did you raise any kids here in Clinton?
No,
Just you and your wife? How was living here and...
How does your wife like it here?
I never really lived in Clinton. I always lived outside of Clinton. I lived at 59 for a spell. That's the old 59 on the old trail, not the one on the highway. And then I got my own place out here and moved in there. I had done been on a few prospecting trips. We made two trips to the territories, looking for things.
And did you ever strike rich?
Well, we found enough copper up there. If it was down here, you'd open a mine on it, but transportation kills it.
Who did you go with?
It was an outfit from Calgary that set it up. I have worked with them before here in places. There is a perlite deposit in Empire Valley that we proved up an ore body, but transportation killed it.
From what you remember from the old Clinton, is there anything that you miss about this area that has changed? And is there anything about the area that's changed that you like?
Well, the skyline changed. We lost Clinton Hotel, we lost Frontier Hotel, we lost the Cariboo Lodge due to fires. And then, of course, other places, they stay the same, but they're not the same. We had a boarding house here, but it's gone.
You said that you knew Harold Mengi.
Yeah, I knew Harold Mengi because Harold Mengi was married to a sister of the old man on the ranch. He was married to one of the Pollard girls. He used to take freight teams from Ashcroft up to Cariboo Road.
So was he a young guy when you first?
He was an old man when you met him?
He was old when I came here. But anyway, he used to take 2 wagons up the road. So he would take the tail wagon up on Ashcroft Hill and park it there for the night. And then they bring the lead wagon up in the morning and hook the two up and start up the highway.
How was the highway when you first moved here? Was it as busy as it is now?
Yeah, the highway was here. The present highway was here. It used to go down through the ranch before they moved it up the hill.
Mm-hmm.
And I couldn't say just when they moved it. And they were serviced by Greyhound bus line and PG rail.
Mm-hmm.
Pacific Great Eastern, or affectionately called Please Go Easy.
Yeah.
And that turns into BC Rail. Do you remember how?
You see, CN Rail took over the operation of BC Rail.
Yeah.
It wasn't sold, they just took over the operation,
Yeah. And then they shut it down.
and it's still there. But there is no passenger traffic.
Right.
Railroads are pretty well all freight these days.
Yeah.
When did the passenger rail stop?
I don't know, I couldn't tell you that because I wasn't frequenting it.
Mm.
I made a trip or two to Vancouver on it, but it was all. He went into North Vancouver on the end of the line, and then you got on some bus to get into Vancouver.
And so, what do you like about Clinton today? We always see you walking through town, and
It's a place for get your mail and pay your bills, so to say. It's the closest banking.
What do you like about the region in general?
Hey,
What do you
About the
like about
region?
the South Cariboo region in general?
well, it's fine, you know. It's not flat country, and it doesn't all stand on edge.
Got a little bit of both.
And it's a peaceful place. We had some rough going. We had the bikers went through one day, but they didn't stay very long.
Didn't somebody get shot?
There was some shots around, yeah. Somebody got caught with a gun, but it too long ago to remember the details.
what were some of the most exciting memories you have of Clinton during your lifetime?
It's all memories. And you can't really sometimes put anything ahead of the other one. It's just things in the past.
Any like big town dramas, like any murders or controversies or anything like that?
Well, it's been some controversial. There is one body picked up that didn't look right, but what can you prove?
When was that, would you reckon?
That was Felix Simpson. They were rounding up cows past the mound because that was part of the range for the ranch, and they brought them in, and Felix was going to take the cows and put them into the field on the bottom, and Connie took his home, and he was coming over for supper, but he didn't show up. He found him the next day. His horse was tied to a single tree, and he was laying there with his coat over, and he was dead.
With the coat over.
Yeah,
So someone must have.
somebody laid him there, put his coat over him.
Did he have any enemies?
I don't know who, you never found out.
They never found out. Huh? What about? What do you remember about Clinton at its when would you say it was at its height? You know, Clinton has declined in population or so. But when would you say that it was its most busy?
It's hard to say because, like, I lived out of town, you see. You just come in for whatever you needed to do and go back. We used to have movies in the hall at one time.
Mm-hmm.
I think the projector might still be there. I'm not sure.
Actually, we have it here in the shed.
Yeah, maybe they took it off. He was sitting upstairs with carbon arc light. It was 2 carbon rods that placed to give the light for the film, to get a bright enough light to project it on the screen.
Did you ever have any cattle of your own?
Cattle?
Mm-hmm. At your
Well,
place in 59 Mile?
I don't know. I don't don't think I had too much of that.
Did you have a hobby farm up there or anything?
No. No. The only place I had was here. And then I had a piece on the highway about some years ago that I used sold. Then not enough money to develop it, so you might as well get rid of it and enjoy the money.
And what other, from what you learned living here for so many years, what would you tell people, the young people living here, about advice for them to live in this area?
Like the old sign in the pub, it says, "Mind your P's and Q's." You know what that stands for?
Mind your pints and quarts.
Yeah, pints and quarts. Your bar tab, what you own for your pints and quarts. Yeah.
Do you ever do any hunting or anything?
Yeah, pretty well hunted every year.
And what did you
Do you still hunt?
Yeah, I'll probably walk up the hill again this fall and see if I can run into something.
Deer?
I have harvested moose, deer, bear, and that kind of. I
Do you-
run a trap line for a few years.
Do you have any memorable hunts or hunting buddies?
Yeah, I run a trap line for a few years. That doesn't mean I made any money.
What other memorable, have you made any memorable friends in Clinton or in the area that you?
Well, the
fondly
thing
remember?
is, all your friends are memorable, eh?
Of course.
And you hope to run across them again someday. Sometimes it never happens, but like there is a time or two when I walk down the street and you see somebody walking up there. I know that guy, and he turns around and you don't say hi. It's, who is he? You don't have a clue. That happened to you too, I think.
Maybe.
It could maybe be a classmate from Blade One or something. But it's part of life.
What do you most enjoy about living here?
Well, it's a slow pace of life, and we don't have too much trouble, basically. There is a little ruckus going on now and then, but not anything compared to a lot of other places.
Mm.
It's slow going, but it's reasonably peaceful. We don't have barroom fights every night, all that kind of stuff. And it's safe for you to walk the street there any night of the week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's other places you can't say that about it.
Were there any rough characters though?
Well, they all have rough characters, but you don't associate with them too much. Most of the time, you hear about them, but you don't really get to know them that well. So, I can be a little rough too. I used to build fences, and on my radio phone, which I had on for call for fire calls, so you turn it on and leave it on, and you hear somebody talking to somebody else on the radio phone saying that he needed a fence built. He said, "There's a guy down in Clinton," he says, "go down to see him, he's fine. He got whiskers half on his chest."
When you first came into town, when was the first time you visited the museum here?
Oh, I don't know. That's hard to say. You walk around and walk in. I knew Avid showed.
Okay. Do you have any memories of Avis Show?
And I knew Chilko showed.
Choco Show?
I knew him. He turned out to be a neighbor of mine in the end, before he died.
And
Do you ever get into any fights? Any fist fights ever?
Fights?
Yeah, in the bar or anything?
No,
Never?
no.
I don't frequent bars.
when you're learning English?
See, thing was, I wasn't drinking when I left home. I belonged to the IUGT, the Young Association.
And what did you do there?
IUGT is the first step. International Order of Good Tempers, IUGT. And he had a younger association. It was translated to well, basically a younger generation association. And that wasn't so much for that, no drinking part, that was more for chasing girls. What do you do when you're 14 to 15?
What other?
You probably chased a few too when you were 14 and 15.
Probably.
And you probably got chased a little bit too.
Could have been.
What other type of associations or organizations were you part of when you were
Well, I
younger?
belonged to the Trappers Association.
Okay.
I belonged to the Cadoso.
Cadosa, okay.
And you know what that stands for?
Clinton Outdoor Sportsman Association.
Yeah.
That's right.
When did that start?
I can't remember when it started, but you go in because it's outdoors and hunting and whatnot. So I have probably contributed to some of the project he had, and me and my wife, we were in on something, and in the end we got a lifetime membership.
Oh wow.
I'm still belonging.
That's good.
Do you still find yourself enjoying the outdoors?
Yeah.
Do you go on walks outdoors and you
I-
still go hunting?
Come fall, I just put my gun on my shoulder and head up the hill, like I've done for the last number of years.
How did you meet your wife?
Yeah.
She was working on the dude ranch.
She was working on, what was she doing on the dude ranch?
She was a cook.
The cook.
We had two cooks there. Because breakfast started at 6, for the crew, and then you have supper at 6 for the crew and the guests. The dudes. You needed two cooks.
Mm. How did you win her heart? How did you win her heart?
Well, I don't know. Take her out a few times, and in the end we decided to, we might as well tie the knot, so that's what we did.
And when was that? How long ago?
How long ago was that?
We married in 66.
A good while.
A good while, yeah.
Yeah?
And what does she do out here now? Does she like the outdoors?
She's retired.
What did she used to do after being a cook?
Well, she worked, she did cook for the grill there, Clinton Grill. Wasn't all the Chinamen. So she cooked in there a little bit. Most of the time she hasn't been away from home.
So she kind of just keeps the house in check and keeps you in check?
Hey?
So she keeps the house in check and keeps you in check?
Well, keep me on the straight line.
Yeah.
It gets awful tired sometimes to be on that straight line, But that's when you have to mind your P's and Q's.
Oh, yeah.
That's right.
So how are you with the P's and Q's?
Oh, I'm straight and narrow.
Oh, you're straight.
Right.
You're just as straight as you have to be.
Well, I'm always the one driving.
And don't ever go straight home.
No.
There's a simple reason. Don't ever go straight home.
Why is that?
You can't. You just can't. There's bound to be a turn in the road somewhere, and I don't advise going straight.
You'll go off into the chasm.
Head for the tourists,
Have you traveled anywhere else outside of the Cariboo and the territories? Have you done a lot of traveling?
No, not much. I've been to a few places. They had a project open up at Blue River for a while. I was in on that. We had a project at Empire Valley. It seems to me we were up at Smithers one time too on a prospecting trip. The guy I was going out with, you can say he was a geologist, and every fall he would design of either an area or a mineral, and then he'd read up everything he could find on it. And then he'd pick out an area to go and look at the next summer. That's how he found the perlite, but it took 2 years to find it and a helicopter trip, because in the picture in the report there was a side hill, and he just couldn't find it. So he got up and there it is, right there, but you couldn't see it from the ground. So he proved up an ore body at the day's consumption. It should be enough perlite there to satisfy the Western Canada's need for 75 years or something.
Wow.
But transportation killed it.
Yeah.
You could get perlite crushed and sized, delivered in Montreal from New Mexico for the cost of rail transportation from Ashcroft to Montreal, and it still had to be crushed and transported to railhead.
Yeah.
A lot of things, little things, are killed this way.
Is there anything you'd want to tell the viewers about how things were in Clinton?
Like I said, I've been in and out of it, but I haven't really had to do too much with the operation day to day.
What about just in this country broadly? What would you
Are
say?
the mosquitoes now better
Are
or
the
worse
mosquitoes
than
now
they were
better
back
or
then?
worse than they used to be?
Well, that depends on the summer and conditions, because the mosquito eggs can lay out there from 7 to 9 years or something and still develop if the conditions are right.
Wow.
So you get a high water level year and they lay eggs, and the water goes down and the eggs high and dry there, and they sit there till the next high water, lift them off, and they can hatch out. But I used to complain a time or two to the old man about the mosquitoes so bad down on the bottom of the field, because they were just clouds. And he says, "You haven't seen anything," he said. I can remember when you had to get the shovel to make a hole to see the sun.
Was that at the Pollard Ranch?
Yeah.
Wow. And the winters, were they colder back then, or?
And I only seen one cold winter, 68, 69, when the bottom dropped out. That's the coldest.
How cold was it then?
It went down to about minus 40 somewhere.
Wow. Holy smokes.
And when you say minus 40, that's where Celsius and Fahrenheit meet.
Yeah.
Freeze your beard off.
Eh?
You freeze your beard off.
Well, no. You get all frozen up,
Yeah.
You carry your own icebox. I wasn't always this way, but I used to hack it off every weekend or something.
Used to hack off your beard every weekend?
At least once a week, and sometimes once a year. And then you just had to, let it grow. Keep me in the shade.